So good. Go watch Ted Lasso, everybody. Best show on TV.
Yeah, it's a great show.
A's news.
I haven't seen it yet, but I will. All right. Yeah, A's news. We were very active at the trade deadline on top of the Starling Marte trade, which is what like our entire podcast last week was about. The A's acquired on Saturday Jan Gomes and Josh Harrison from the Nationals for a bunch of minor leaguers that I barely knew. Let me look up their names right now.
Drew Melas,
Cool,
Seth Schumann, and Richard Gusach.
Julio,
in other words,
partnership's all about. You just pick us up, pick one or the other up when the other one's down. Booyah.
Yeah, so pretty much guys who were probably Drew Melas was the number 28 prospect in the farm. And look, the odds are he's probably not going to be in the majors for the Nationals because we're going to talk about it a little bit later. They also picked up Keibert Ruiz from the Dodgers in the Scherzer trade. So both these guys are expiring contracts more than anything, but they're on paper, they're a much better team with these two here.
Both these guys are over the hill. Let's be honest. Both of them are past their prime, but they're still good. They still get the job done. The minors, with those pitchers, those players though, I think it's just like it's strengthening your odds, for lack of a better word, Julio. So like in case one of your top prospects doesn't work out, you kind of have one to pick. You'll see where his development goes. So I get it.
So a couple things we wanted to talk about. I have to find the numbers. Looking at the numbers in front of me, but Jan Gomes destroys left-handed pitching this year. Yeah. And I think
he showed
we've talked about this before. I don't know if this is an offline thing or on the show where I've been concerned about the catching position because look, Murph's fine. He's, the sabermetrics, like the WAR of it all will show that he's a really good catcher. It's just he's inconsistent at the plate, which he's young. This is only his second year. He's going to figure it out.
But also, as much as you like Aramis Garcia, he hasn't been that good, Julio.
No, that was my point.
Yeah,
that's what I was going to say.
Box. So it's Bob Melvin's having to play Murphy more because Garcia's been so bad. So Murph hardly gets a day off. So
Jan Gomes, what has he done in this last week? Well, he had a 3-run home run on Sunday against the Angels. And then today he hit the game-tying single in the bottom of the ninth for the A's, where the game they ended up winning. Yeah, John. I think it's huge. I think it's going to be huge because
Star Trek fans out there, that's a reference to Khan in Star Trek 2.
Never seen that movie.
Wrath of Khan.
Actually, I don't know if I should. Should I watch it?
It's one of the best old school Star Trek movies, but it's pretty out of. It was made in the 60s, Julio, so it's pretty out of date.
It's in the 80s.
Are you sure?
Absolutely sure. At least the 70s.
My dad made so basically when the new Star Trek reboot came
1982.
1982. Okay. Well, but Star Trek the show came out in the 60s. That's where I'm fumbled up. Anyway, my dad, when the reboot, or I guess technically it's alternate reality Star Trek came out in 2009. My dad, it was so good, and I was telling my dad about it, and we were talking about the universe. He made me watch Wrath of Khan, and it was tough to get through because it was really good for the time. It's really good for the time. It's a well put together film. The fly's not gone. It's a well put together film, and it's a good storyline, and it's good acting and everything like that. But it's 1980s sci-fi, special effects and whatnot. It's not, and they don't have the budget that Star Wars did, and the savvy that George Lucas had. So it's cool, but
okay.
Anyway,
good to know. Anyways, Jan, the one thing I'm super excited about with him is we're bringing in another guy who has deep playoff experience. Him and Kurt Suzuki were the catchers for the 2019 Nationals when they won the World Series. And if you just look at, I tweeted about this other night. If you just look at the pitchers Jan Gomes has caught throughout the years, it's a pretty insane list. You got Max Scherzer, Steven Strasburg, Patrick Corbin, John Lester, Trevor Bauer, Corey Kluber, Mike Clevenger.
He was on the Cleveland World Series run team as well in 2016.
Yeah, and 16. So the guy is the kind of person that I think this team really needs. They need somebody who's going to help with like he's going to be I think it's going to be really really important for like Chris Bassett's development, even though he's an older guy. Like, I think just kind of learning a little bit more from a veteran catcher. Same thing for like Caprillion and just the whole staff. He makes them a much better staff with that experience. And it showed like this last couple of days. You put him out on lefty, and he's going to be able to provide some pop in there.
Yeah.
And then how do you feel about Josh Harrison? I know it was pretty cool when they hit the walk-off today. He was like the first person in the dugout or in the pile up or on Ollie over at second. So like he's already kind of drinking in all the Oakland juice. I love that.
Josh Harrison has been known as like Mr. Consistency in Pittsburgh for like the longest time. Like he always hits like around 290. He's not like a big home run guy, but he can, on a good season, he can get you 20 or something like that. But he's constantly good, and he's a well-rounded defender. He can play second, third, and outfield, a lot like Tony Kemp, but a better arm. I mean, he's two-time All-Star. Yeah, he's just Mr. Reliable. Doesn't have much playoff experience because it's the fucking Pittsburgh Pirates. But he has a few runs at it. But this was my thing of the two moves, Julio, and I think we learned a lot from the Dodgers World Series last season. This is Dodgers type of depth where it's like you have guys that on 75% of the teams in baseball would be starters on your bench, but it gives you more versatility in your batting order in the later innings. So in the sixth inning, when you have a runner on second and you're down by one run, you can put Josh Harrison in there as a pinch hitter, and he's going to at least move up the runner, or you can have confidence that he's going to move up the runner. Same with Gomes, and you have confidence that they're going to finish out the rest of the game well on the defensive side. Like, I mean, remember that, they didn't win the World Series that year, but in 2018, maybe it was 2017, Dodgers World Series team had like Chase Utley coming off the bench and Jock Peterson coming off the bench and all these guys. And they just find these guys who are kind of like on shitty teams at the deadline who desperately just need to be a part of winning, and they get them, and they just like, they're huge pieces for them. They're not going to contribute every day. I mean, maybe they will if Bob Melvin uses the versatility of the lineup, which he didn't the first day they were there. I was texting you bitching about it. But I think he's going to do it more, and he's going to play the matchups more, and he can actually like manage with these guys, as opposed to like hoping you can throw Seth Brown out there in the eighth inning with a runner on third and hope he's not going to strike out when he's probably going to strike out. Hate to break it to you, audience. Like Josh Harrison, there's a good chance that he's not going to strike out, at least.
And if he does, he's at least going to make a good at bat out of it.
Yeah, exactly.
Like Jan Gomes, same thing. Came in the bottom of the ninth, and got the game tying single out of it. Yeah. Now, all that being like on paper, they're arguably like with the talent that they have from top to bottom of this lineup, how guys like freaking Jed are just kind of back to what they've normally been doing. They're arguably like one of the best teams in the American League. But to kind of jump into the next subject, at least in this first week of this new lineup, they're still struggling offensively. Yeah. If you look at the numbers, let me put it up for a second. You can go ahead and just talk while I pull this stuff up. You got anything you want to say?
They stranded 7 runners yesterday. It was brutal to watch. And there was multiple times with no outs or one out when there's a runner on third and second, and then they strike out twice or they ground out. And it's just like, or a pop fly or something like that. It drives me insane. And like the big contributors to the runs that are being scored too in the past 5 days since we got these guys are these 3 guys. Like Marte is absolutely killing it. He hit a home run yesterday. He's getting on base. He's stealing bases left and right, and he's getting on third base, getting in position to score. But then these guys, like Olsen and Ramon and these other guys come up to bat and they fucking strike out and then just strand him on third base. Like, that's not why we got these guys. We got these guys and that was our issue. Our issue was we could get hits, but we couldn't get runners on base first. We couldn't bring them home. So now we're getting runners on base, but we can't bring them home. It's just a total clusterfuck. And they're still being aggressive on the bases, which I love because it's working. But we just need more reliability from the middle of the lineup and the end of the lineup because it's just not working. Josh Harrison's been great too. He comes up the bat, he gets a fucking single, gets on second. They don't bring him home. Jan Gomes obviously has been great, like bringing guys home, but he's been the only one. Like Matt Olson hit the walk-off double today. That was like the first of this entire 5-day run that we've seen one of our guys before the deadline, do anything productive with these runners on base.
So since Gomes and Harrison's first game, which was this past Saturday against the Angels, they've averaged about 3.5 runs a game, which is not terrible. But you have to remember they scored 8 runs on Sunday. They got shut out on Saturday. They only scored 1 run yesterday, and then they scored 5 today to even out the series with the Padres. But it's insanity. It's insanity that this has kind of been the same problem this team has been going through since really the whole Mats era. Is they've never been able to figure out how to be like runners in scoring position. Gomes said after the 2018, 2019 wild card, he's like, yep, we're just gonna have to work on this and you get better. But it's like these guys still haven't gotten better. And like I brought it up on Twitter today. It's just like I feel like every time I watch a Ramon at bat lately, I've just been seeing him strike out. Guys,
what do you think it is? Do you think it's young inexperience, or do you think it's just like inconsistency? Like, I mean, Ramon's a really streaky hitter. That doesn't surprise me that he's the main culprit. But like, what is it about it? Because like, yeah, you know what? If I think about the walk-offs in the past like 2 years, like they're not the main culprits that are winning the game.
To me, I think it's just it seems like kind of inexperience, and it feels like they're not doing a great job of adjusting to it. Like, holy crap, Matt Chapman fell off a bus this year.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people are kind of saying like it's a part of the hip injury. Defensively, he's still Matt Chapman, but like his hitting's just completely gone. And I don't know if it's just the scouting department's not doing a good enough job with a lot of these guys to really learn their adjustments. I don't know if I know the easy way to blame is Darren Bush, because if you're think about this. I was thinking about this now.
We've been blaming him for 3 seasons. Julio.
I know, but okay. But let me think about.
Isn't that the issue right there, that he's still here and we've been blaming him for 3 seasons?
Yes, absolutely. Because think about this. And a couple of things I want to talk about with this, actually. If you think about when the early 2010s, the Bernie Lean era, you have Chili Davis, he got picked off for another job. And the fact that like nobody's willing to get any of these other guys in this coaching staff over the last few years a job somewhere else, despite of how good this team has been over these last few years, should be kind of telling with that. That like, hey, maybe it's not the coaching staff. Maybe it's just Bill Bell's managing his ass off. You're not going to get him out of there. But then 2, think about with like football. Think about if you just have a team that's horrible offensively or defensively or whatever it is, and it's like 10 games in the season, nothing's changed. That offensive coordinator's fired or that defensive coordinator's fired. But for some reason, that doesn't happen in baseball.
Yeah.
It never happens.
It's the manager that goes, and then I guess they're all gone. But yeah.
Yeah, you and maybe that's just kind of I don't know if it's an old school mindset. I don't know if there's something a little bit deeper at that, but it seems rare. It seems like it never happens where it's like a lot of people have been kind of, because like, look, I understand some of these guys are streaky, but it's like we've seen what they can do when they're on. We've seen how good Ramon is. We've seen how good Matt Chapman is. And it's like your job as a coach is you got to help these guys adjust. You got to help these guys to learn to get through these situations where it's like the pitchers are going to learn to pitch to you better or go around it. And it's like, if you're still having the same situation, the same problem for the last 3 years across the board, more or less, then that's not on them, man. I hate to say it, like I don't think that's on them. That's all on coaching.
The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. Bob Melvin, that's for you, buddy. I'm sure you're good friends with Darren Bush, and you would hate to see him go, but sometimes it's a little bit more than that.
Speaking of old friends, Hey,
your segues are on point today. Welcome back, Chris Davis. He was cut by the Rangers a month ago, maybe 2 months ago. I believe it was June. Could be wrong. And since then he's been hanging out at home, just hitting in the cage. So Billy Beane and the boys and Dave Force and the boys called him up, asked him if he wanted a minor league deal. He signed it. So he's back to Oakland, but he will be training at the Arizona facility, which is training camp facility, for a couple weeks, and then he'll potentially join Las Vegas for a little bit. We'll see what happens. We probably won't see him this season. So, it's just, it's cool that he's back, but what a fall from grace. It's a little depressing.
Real talk. Do you think he could do better than Mitch Moreland right now?
No. Mitch Moreland at least gets big hits when you need him. He's not consistent, but he gets big hits when you need him.
That's true.
He's been the only guy who really delivers in those big moments.
Maybe, yeah. My brother Elias, shout out Elias. He's speculating. He's like, he thinks that KD's going to retire and that he just wanted to come up, maybe get a game in Oakland and retire as an A, which that would be great. I hope he doesn't retire. He's still pretty young, but that would be an interesting way to do it.
That's interesting. I like that. That's an interesting take.
Yeah, which I would be shocked, but I don't think we're going to see him. The only way I'll see him up there is maybe during September call-ups, and if he can, hitter wise, I don't really know who would be up there besides him. Seth Brown will be back up again, and maybe Machine to kind of give some rest, the infield. But that's the only time
especially Elvis Andrus.
Yeah, that could be the only time I could see him coming back up. Although but honestly,
Nick Allen will be back by then from the Olympics, so it'll probably be Nick.
Yeah, but he
gets brought up.
No, well, Nick Allen will probably just get brought up to AAA from AA.
Oh, I thought he was in Vegas.
AAA or AA.
No, he was in Vegas.
Yeah. But I'm just glad he's still playing. I think when we talked about last time when he was DFA'd, we were scared oh shit, no one's going to bring him back. This is it. And if he can at least come back, play some ball, I'm sure he can hit the crap out of the ball in Vegas, just knowing how it just really blows up over there. It'll really benefit him. But it's just good. It's a good story.
Yeah, because think about it, Julio. If Mitchie Two Bags is not playing DH, maybe it's an off day or something, then it's probably Piscotty or Josh Harrison or Jan Gomes. It doesn't make sense for him to play there when you have three other guys who are more than capable of filling in that DH spot.
Yeah, exactly.
At that note, we're going to take a quick break and we'll be back with trade deadlines winners and losers. So stick around. We'll be right back.